The United States has imposed sweeping tariffs on several nations across the world, including African countries, and the response from world leaders is not a happy one.
Our country and its taxpayers have been ripped off for more than 50 years, but it is not going to happen anymore.
President of Czech Republic Petr Pavel called it brutal and unfortunate. Speaking at a press conference with Ghana's President John Dramani Mahama, both leaders warned that this action could destabilize fragile economies and undermine the global trade system.
Let me start with the general statement. I think imposing tariffs in such a brutal way really doesn't help either side. It will not help the situation in Africa, but it will not help situation in Europe, Asia, and even United States. Tariff wars are damaging everyone. So in my view, it is really unfortunate to impose such a broad wave of tariffs without negotiating. Countries, especially countries that are allies, should first negotiate, and only when they are not able to come to an agreement, they can exert some pressure. But we haven't explored the opportunities of negotiating. With regard to a number of African and Asian countries, especially those that belong amongst the poorest globally, like Lesotho or Cambodia and Laos, they are charged by the biggest tariffs in history. It could be easily destroying their economies. So I really think that we have to collectively address the United States to rethink this approach and to negotiate, because I believe only by negotiating we can achieve a result that will be both beneficial for the United States, balancing more their trade with the world, but also not destroying countries, because by damaging their economies so much, it would create a number of problems that will have to be dealt with later on. It may prove much more costly than reducing the pressure on tariffs.
I just also wish to add that our Minister of Foreign Affairs and the Ministry of Trade held a session with the U.S. ambassador to clarify what the implications of the tariff are for Ghana particularly. And I think in the next few days, the Minister of Foreign Affairs will release a paper, a statement on what the implications of those tariffs are. But I just join His Excellency to say that we all accepted a rule-based trading system, and it has served the world well because it has led to quite significant growth in GDP across the world. It is unfortunate that without resorting to the rules-based system, one country unilaterally decides to increase tariffs across board on all countries. Ghana got slapped with 10%, which is the lowest in the tariffs that were rolled out. But a country like Lesotho got slapped with 46%. And if you understand that one of the largest contributors to Lesotho's economy is the trade and garments industry, export and the AGOA to United States, then you can be sure that it's going to affect a small country like Lesotho. Many of the factories that have set up there might look for areas where they can receive cheaper tariffs, to be able to continue to export into the American market. So it has very severe implications for everybody. And I believe that a multilateral world serves us all better than unilateral world, where people just take decisions based on only their country's interests. We must look at the broader global partnerships and the global interests rather than just our parochial national interest.
But what exactly does all this mean? What is a tariff? How does this affect Ghana? And is there a way Ghana can fight back? Well, let's break it down. Think of a tariff as a tax, but not one you pay at the supermarket. It is a tax that one country places on goods coming from another country. So, when Ghana exports something to the United States, like cocoa or textiles, the US can slap a tax on it at the port. This makes Ghana products more expensive for American consumers because tariffs are often used to protect local industries. If Ghana's cocoa becomes expensive, Americans might buy locally produced alternatives or from other countries not facing tariffs. Now, let's talk about what Ghana actually exports to the US. According to Observatory of Economic Complexity, Ghana's economy relies heavily on exports to the US, which totaled over 1.3 billion in the year 2022. Key exports include cocoa products, 40% of the country's export, gold, 30%, a critical mineral for tech and jewelry, textiles, 15%, garments under the African Growth and Opportunity Act, agua, petroleum, 10% of the country's export. These sectors employs millions from farmers to factory workers. Take agua for example, it gives Ghanaian textile companies duty-free access to the US market. But with the new tariffs, that advantage disappears. Suddenly, Ghanaian shirts or dresses could cost 30 to 40% more in American stores. What happens next? Retailers may stop ordering from Ghana and look elsewhere. This isn't just bad news for Ghana's economy, it's devastating for ordinary people. Farmers, factory workers, and small business owners could all feel the pinch. Take Lesotho for instance. The country just received a 46% tariff from the US. That's almost half the value of their goods gone in taxes. Lesotho's export to the US is contributing 30% of the country's GDP, which shows how vulnerable economies can collapse overnight, which means entire industry in the country could collapse. So, what can Ghana do? Well, history gives us a few ideas. In 2018, the US imposed tariffs on Chinese goods. China retaliated, not by just complaining, but by also slapping tariffs on American soybeans, cars, and even wine. This hit American farmers hard. Some lost billions, and same thing is happening again this time around. So, retaliation can be powerful, but it has to be strategic. Ghana, for example, could increase tariff on US chicken parts, which dominate Ghana's poultry market, slow down approval for American companies operating in Ghana, boost trade alternative partners like China, the European Union, or African neighbors under the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. So, a smarter strategy like uniting with other African nations to demand fair treatment through multilateral forums can also help. President Mahama put it clearly, these actions undermine the global rule-based system that was designed to ensure fair trade between nations, regardless of size or power. And if that system collapses, everyone pays the price. And that is all for today's episode. Let us know your thoughts and suggestions on this in the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Sheriff Haruna. Have a joyful life and see you in the next one. Macrao.